Hour two is here, and so is the Rude Dog. You'll join me in a moment. All of our guests appear via the Invader Coffee guest line. Invader Coffee, fuel for the fearless. Let's not waste any more time. Here's the Rude Dog himself, Rudy Reyes. He joins me right now. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
I'm good, man. Representing Pittsburgh, got the Pirates hat on. Of course, big time Steeler fan. So let's jump right in, man. Give me your overall assessment so far of the Steelers' offseason moves. What grade would you give them and why?
I'm going to probably have to give them an A. And there's a variety of reasons for that. First of all, it was an off-season kind of, we acquired Russell Wilson. That's great. Not a splash move, but it was a good move.
Mm-hmm.
Considering the last three quarterbacks they had were Mason Rudolph, which is a holdover from the Ben Roethlisberger era.
Yep.
Kenny Pickett 2 years ago in the 20th overall position for Pittsburgh. I was in Las Vegas for that pick. And then thirdly, they really haven't had a whole lot of motion and not really a standout quarterback since the aforementioned Ben Roethlisberger. The other two gentlemen were okay at best.
Yeah.
There were quarterback ratings for Kenny Pickett that didn't reach 40 QBR. Mason Rudolph had a pretty decent playoff run. That's one of the reasons why the Tennessee Titans wanted him because of the games that he did play and the video that was recorded. The things that I really liked about this pickup, obviously, just not even 2 days ago, feels like a whirlwind when they acquired Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick. And I think that Chicago did him a great service by sending him to an actual playoff caliber team, because the Bears haven't been relevant since, way before, Jay Cutler was a quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And I hate to say it that long ago, but truly it was. And sadly enough, when I look at the teams like the Denver Broncos, who we know that Russell Wilson was not Sean Payton's man and was not his guy. He didn't draft him, and a lot of head coaches want their guy, whoever that might be, and really a part of that process of drafting a quarterback or whatever specialty position they happen to be playing. Now, I give them an A because of what they did, and I don't mean on a last-minute ditch effort. This isn't like at the waning moments of dusk to say, we have something or we don't have something. This is probably the biggest splash in free agency for the Steelers as an organization, probably within the last, I'd say since they drafted Ben Roethlisberger out of Miami of Ohio. What's interesting about this is that Russell Wilson has already won a championship. Yes. Did he have a great QBR? Did he have great seasons in Denver? Well, no, not really. And we can look at his numbers to reflect that. But more importantly, there was an argument going on between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson to say, he was benched because we wanted to provide a spark to the offense. I don't buy it. I don't buy that at all. And then you have the aforementioned situation with Kenny Pickett getting sent over to the Philadelphia Eagles for a draft selection as well in 2025 for the Eagles, and they get two of those, which is great, and they get Pickett, which doesn't really speak to a whole lot because there are rumors swirling around, and I'm not a fan of the rumor mill, Brian. I'm just not. It's not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. I've never been kind of posturized that direction, but there is a character issue in regards to Kenny Pickett and what he did not do, what he failed to do. He felt that he was threatened by Russell Wilson's entrance. And to be quite honest with you, if I was a quarterback in that very meek quarterback room, I would be as well. Why? Because Russell's already been there, done that. Did he show up in Denver? Well, his numbers don't reflect him winning 2 fabulous seasons, but imagine this. He had 3 times the QBR, nearly 3 times the QBR that Kenny Pickett had in his 2023 campaign with the Steelers. So what does that tell you? That tells you ultimately that Russell Wilson could be the aforementioned starter. And then they acquired Justin Fields as well, which is probably the best backup starting quarterback combo in the AFC North, maybe even in the NFL.
It's going to be tough to beat that combination with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. As you said about Russell Wilson, been there, done that. Of course, Super Bowl 48, got back the next year. And so much to dissect with this. But let me ask you this first. Did you believe when they drafted Kenny Pickett that he would be sent packing as quick as he did?
Actually, I did not, but I didn't care for the pick either. And it had nothing to do with the fact that he was the boy next door. And I mean that literally because the training facilities are right next door to one another. It,
Right.
it just did not strike me as the Steelers character guy being drafted in the 20th position that he was. And it didn't really stand out to me in regards to what his play was like. Of course, there are rumors, not really rumors, but factually speaking, his hands were small. And
Hmm.
that has anything to do with the insecurity or the insecurities that he possesses that kind of basically cried and whined his way out of Pittsburgh. And that's coming from a fan, from a broadcaster, from someone who's done this for nearly 10 years. I don't think Kenny Pickett was the right pick for Pittsburgh. They could have gone so many other directions. And I just don't think Kenny Pickett was it.
Now you have Justin Fields. Now you have Russell Wilson, and it has been said that Wilson will be the starter, and there won't be a quarterback competition for the starting job. Mike Tomlin has two very talented quarterbacks in his stable. What does, and I know you've touched on this already, but I want you to do a deep dive and go into detail. What does Russell Wilson bring to the quarterback position that the Steelers have not had since Ben Roethlisberger?
Elusiveness, pure unadulterated elusiveness, right? So when that pocket breaks down, when you have a pass rush that is headed your direction, you want to dink and dunk. Well, unfortunately, there's no Ben Roethlisberger, so you can't do that. There is a Russell Wilson, which is the same gunslinger type of mechanical throws that he has made throughout his career. He did it for DK Metcalf. He's done that throughout his career. So his elusiveness, I think, is number one that has not been had. Kenny Pickett, pocket passer. Mason Rudolph, pocket passer. The latter years of Ben Roethlisberger, the last 2 or 3 years, pocket passer, because we know Ben has been hurt. You know, he's had every muscle or bone broken that you can possibly imagine from head to toe. So they have been missing the elusiveness that Wilson brings. Now, with that being said, Justin Fields, I believe, will still compete. I don't care what he says. Predominantly, if you want to know if you're going to be the name starter, you have to exhibit that. Training camp, as you know, is clearly the favorite ground to prove or disprove why the team did what they did. Now, this is a no benefit to in the either organization, because that means that Denver is now over the cap, which they still have been because of that deal with Wilson. But this is a team friendly situation with both of these quarterbacks. And if I was Pittsburgh, I would draft a quarterback in the latter round anyway. Why? Because Russell Wilson was not the same Russell Wilson that won the Super Bowl in Seattle. Justin Fields needs to be quarterback. He needs to be coached up, to be quite honest with you. He needs work in the offseason. If I was him, I'd be on the field right now, or I'd be in the classroom, or a combination of those two, so he can get acclimated to the offense. And he also brings, I mean, this is scary. This is a young Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Now, I believe it's a 2.0 for Justin Fields, and it's now a 3.0 for Russell Wilson. Whether or not either one of these guys are named the starter remains to be seen. But if I was a betting man, not that I am, but if I was, I would pick Justin Fields as the heir apparent starter. But again, we know that training camp are the grounds essentially that will enable either one of these guys to showcase why the Steelers brought them there.
You mentioned something very interesting, and I love that you brought this up, that the Steelers should still draft a quarterback in the late rounds of the draft. If you could target one, who would that be?
Oh man, it is so tough. I mean, you could take Jaden Daniels out of the equation. You can take JJ McCarthy out of the equation. You can take even
Yep.
Michael Penix out of the equation as well. Lord knows he probably won't be there in the latter part of the second round. Why? Because we don't know what these guys look like at NFL speed. We know what they look like on an NCAA speed, but we don't know what they look like in an NFL speed. With that being said, I think if for some reason you find that Penix is being passed on, you grab him. You grab him. He's the most accurate, talented, scramble-worthy quarterback to go along. Again, we're talking elusiveness. He has that ability and the propensity to get that ball downfield and accurately thrown. By the way, there relatively is no difference between a size of course, a little bit bulkier, a little bit meatier, right? When you think of a cornerback in the NFL or a cornerback in the NCAA system. Same concept, slightly bigger guys, but it's a different speed. I think Michael Penix is probably one of those guys where if he's not picked in the latter part of the second round, he will slip to day 3. If that does happen, the Steelers could, not that they will, but they could move up to grab him.
Rudy Reyes, the Rude Dog, joining here to talk the quarterback situation and the double deal for Pittsburgh, grabbing Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. And there's a few more things that the Steelers could do. One of my homies in broadcasting, he's been doing this over a decade. I love you, brother, so much. Thanks for coming on, and I'd love to have you back.
Sure. Sounds good. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and look forward to coming back on.
All right. Thank you much. One of my homies, Rudy Reyes, joining me here on the program, talking all things Steelers. Man, that was fun.